Hey, good evening and welcome to Mishna Yomi. We're learning Maseches Kilayim, Perek, Perek Dalid, Mishnah Hey and Vav, fourth Perek, fifth and sixth Mishnahs. Mishnah Hey, Anotea Shura Shel Chamish Kefonim. Right, we've talked before about a sada. Here we're going to talk about a karam, a vineyard. How many vines does it need in order to be considered a vineyard? The ramifications of it being considered a vineyard is that if you want to plant something else, you have to distance 4 amos. Even though normally by other fields only you have to distance 6 tfachim, here you have to distance 4 amos, which is about 6 feet. So the Gemara says, they say one row, if you have 5 vines, one row is already considered a karam. They argue and they say you have to have 2 rows. What's the practical ramification of this machlokes? Let's say you have a vineyard already, whatever constitutes a vineyard, and you plant something else in the 4 amos surrounding that. Normally we learn you have to be marchak, you have to distance 4 amos, let the land lay fallow. If you plant something else in there, so the pasuk says that if you plant next to it, that the produce that you grow in that area that's supposed to be left fallow is considered to be aser, considered to be kilayim, kodesh. You have to burn it. So if you were to plant in those 4 amos, Beis Shammai omrim kilei shur achas. Beis Shammai says, since also the what you plant in those 4 amos is called tuas akarim, right? The thing that becomes aser becomes tuas akarim. So what is the thing that becomes aser? So in order the minimum amount to be called a vineyard is 1 shura, is 1 row. So even if you planted 10 rows over there, only the first row closest to the vineyard would become aser, because that's called a karim. Beis Hillel would argue and say that two rows is enough to make it a vineyard. So 2 rows closest to the vineyard would become aser. Mishnah Vav, number 6. We learned previously, this Mishnah is according to Beis Hillel. We learned previously that according to Beis Hillel, in order to be called a vineyard, it has to have 2 rows. So normally, the Gemara says in Maseches Beitza that a shura is considered to be 3 normally, right? So if you want to have shtei shuras, you'd have to have 2 rows of at least 3 vines. So according to Beis Hillel, there is one exception. If you have 2 rows of 2 each, 1, 2, and then you have a third one as like a tail, sort of in between the 2 rows, but as an extension to them. You can look in the pictures and see that would also be called a karam, because it looks like a vineyard, even though it's 5 vines, but it looks like a vineyard because it looks like 2 rows of 3. But if you only have 2 rows of 2, and the third one you have 1, 2, 1, 2, and the third one is in between one of the 2 rows, doesn't look like 2 rows of 3. Or if you have 1, 2, 1, 2, and you have one in the middle, Eino Karim, that's not considered a vineyard. If you want to do it, subsist with 5 vines and making a vineyard, it would have to be 2 and 2, and 1 as a tail. That would be considered 2 rows. Otherwise, it wouldn't be considered 2 rows. It would be considered only 1 row, or maybe not even any rows, because you have to have 3 to make a row, and that for sure wouldn't be a karam, it would be a vineyard according to Beis Hillel.